The first time I came to this state was as a volunteer to knock on doors for a presidential candidate, a young man with a funny name. And we knew the stakes were high then. The stakes are colossal now. This country cannot afford 4 more years of Donald Trump. We will not recognize it if he gets reelected. We know what is at stake. And we know that he's going to do everything he can to hold on to power. But if you nominate me, his playbook isn't going to work this time around. See, I don't get helicoptered into a golf course with my name on it while pretending to care about the working class. I don't even golf. I get around in a Chevy that was built in Ohio by the very same workers this president has let down. And I don't go to work in an office in Washington, D.C. My office is about 6 hours that way down I-80, here in the Midwest. And out the window of that office, I see the outlines of our ethanol plant, which is why I understand the measure of this president's betrayal of American farmers, and I know how to talk about it. And I don't have to throw myself a military parade to see what a convoy looks like. Because I was driving one around Afghanistan right about the time this president was taping season 7 of The Celebrity Apprentice. So that tough talk's not going to work against me. But I didn't just come here to end the era of Donald Trump. I'm here to launch the era that must come next. Because in order to win and in order to lead, it's going to take a lot more than the political warfare we've come to accept from Washington, D.C. We already have a divider in chief. I am offering a White House that you can look at on the news and feel your blood pressure go down a little bit instead of up through the roof. I am asking you to picture that first day the sun comes up in this country and Donald Trump is no longer the President of the United States. A happy thought for sure, an end to the chaos and the corruption and the tantrums and the tweets, but what comes next? The sun's going to come up over a country even more divided and torn up over politics than we are today, with crises that still require urgent action. A 14-year-old will be waiting for action who wrote me to tell me that she has written out a will because she is afraid that her next day at school might be her last. A 12-year-old will be waiting for action who asked me about health care not because she is a young policy buff, but because she has juvenile diabetes and is afraid her parents will lose their coverage. I am running to be the president who will stand amid the rubble, pick up the pieces of our divided nation, and lead us toward real action to do right by Americans who have waited for far too long. I am ready to gather up an American majority that is hungry for change, that is done with division. And I have seen that hunger across the country, places you might not expect. In Shenandoah, Iowa, where a young man from a farm family stood up to ask me what role agriculture was going to play in ending climate change. I've seen it in Granger, Indiana, when a diner filled up with conservative Republicans protesting the deportation of a neighbor they knew to be a good man. And I'll be seeing it in a few weeks on the morning of Thanksgiving Day, Because in 2019, in rural Michigan, you cannot stop a man from going deer hunting with his husband's father. We're ready to build this majority. A majority ready to deliver the most progressive reform to health care in 50 years. Medicare for all who want it, honoring your decision over whether and when you want it. A majority, even in the red states, to do something about gun violence, to do something about climate change, to ensure the dignity of every American, to tackle systemic racism wherever we find it until your race in this country has no bearing on your health or your wealth, your life expectancy, or your relationship with law enforcement. The American people are ready to get this done, to stand with our teachers, to let people of faith know that in our White House, you won't have to shake your head and ask yourself, whatever happened to I was hungry and you fed me? I was a stranger and you welcomed me. Whatever you did to the least of these, you did to me. I will not waver from my commitment to our values or back down from the boldness of our ideas. But I also will not tire from the effort to include everyone in this future we are trying to build. Progressives, moderates, and Republicans of conscience who are ready for a change. The time has come. We will fight when we must fight, but I will never allow us to get so wrapped up in the fighting that we start to think fighting is the point. The point is what lies on the other side of the fight. And what lies on the other side of that fight is the hope of an American experience defined not by exclusion, but by belonging. That is what we are here to deliver. And if talking about hope and belonging sounds optimistic to you for a time like this, fine. Call it optimistic, but do not call it naive. Because I believe these things not based on my age, but based on my experience. Iowa, I have seen in the dust of a war zone Americans who had nothing in common besides the flags on our shoulders learn to trust each other with our lives. I have seen in the ruins of factories my city answer those who said we were a dying community by rising up together to build a better future. I have seen what America can do, and so have you. After all, you're looking at someone who, as a young man growing up, wondered if something deep inside of him meant that he would forever be an outsider, would never wear the uniform, never be accepted, never know love. And now you are looking at that same young man, a veteran, a mayor, happily married, asking for your vote for President of the United States. That's why I believe in this country. Iowans, I am asking for you to caucus for me on February 3rd because I know what the presidency is for. Because we know that the purpose of the presidency is not the glorification of the president, it is the unification of the American people. That is why we have the office. So Iowa, are you ready to bring this country together? Are you ready to turn the page to a new era together? Then let us make history together. And we will have a lot to celebrate in November of next year, and we will know where to go from there. Thank you, Iowa. Thank you, Democrats. Thank you so much.